Greetings, comrades and psychonauts. Dirt Son of Earth here with the acid left. Today I am going to do a very YouTube-y thing and give you my 5 favorite albums of 2021 instead of the normal media review that we would be doing, like looking at a book or a movie, an album, etc., a song. I'm going to try to keep it more list-like. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a strict list. I listen to a lot of music, and I really like songs and stuff I listen to all the time. I listen to playlists, I listen to mixes, my own algorithmic ones, etc. But I'm an album person. I really, really like listening to a nice, full album. So, to me, if it's like made its way to this like album tier, it's good. I'm going to be listening to it for years, start to finish, I'm sure. So that being said, I want to get right into it. Coming in at number 5. Oh, wait, you know what? Let me introduce my friend Frida. That's one of the girls you hear all the time on the podcast and stuff. I try to block her out, but it's a hard frequency to get. And she wanted to join us today. Should probably try to eat my hat, which the hat is a bit of a foreshadow to number 1. If you know, you know, I guess. Coming in at number 5, we're gonna do Black Country New Road for the first time. So that's a mouthful. Black Country New Road is the band. For the first time is the album. I just heard them this year. This is their first album. They've put out some EPs and other stuff before that I never heard. I saved the album when I first came across it because a friend recommended it to me. But I didn't actually listen to it until early December. And holy shit, it is such a good album. Post-rock, experimental, art rock, some noisy elements, some jazzy elements in there. I think they're a 7-piece, maybe a 6-piece. Singer's got a deep vibrato voice, but it's talky, and then it becomes shouty. The lyrics are desperate. The album seems to be almost documenting like a breakdown of sorts, but not in a pitiful way and not in a glorifying way either. And that's hard to do. It really, from start to finish, is such a good album. Starts with an instrumental. There's another instrumental on there. Some of the songs are like 10 minutes long. They have lots of parts to them. It's a challenging record. There's like rhythmic through lines, but very dynamic. And the rhythm is some of my favorite stuff on here. The drumming and the feels changes. There's build-ups in there where you think, oh shit, it's about to go crazy. And then all of a sudden, bam, goes into like some kind of neo-noir jazz, like crime detective thing. And, then slowly builds up into like this punk-type anthem where it's just going and the rhythm, you hear these toms back, and then lots of hi-hat work, saxophone, keyboards or piano. Really beautiful stuff. A little bit abrasive. Definitely not for your average like pop rock fan. Like I said, these are challenging song structures compared to like pop music. But that will bring me to my next album, which is number 4, Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. Not challenging songs, but that's one of the reasons it works so well. Olivia Rodrigo was a Disney actress. Never watched any of her stuff. She had like the High School, the musical, the TV series, the musical, the movie, the series, the play, whatever that was called. And Bizarre. Never saw either of those. And I first heard Good For You through TikTok. Would have never guessed it was a Disney princess, and that's a derogatory term. I shouldn't say that. I really love this album. It is angsty. It is sorrowful. It is a teenager pouring out their emotions through solid pop rock. There's some psychedelic flair on there, like in tracks like Deja Vu. There's pop punk, obviously, for like Good For You. There's some more like singer-songwriter stuff that's reminiscent of like Alanis Morissette. She's gotten a lot of Taylor Swift comparisons, which I actually like it better than anything I've heard by Taylor Swift. It seems much more genuine and real to me, which is really refreshing. And obviously, yes, she is a pop star, but I hope to see this movement back. Good For You, which I think was the second single off the album, was the first single to hit the Billboard top 10. I think it was, I hit number 1. To hit Billboard number 1, that could be categorized as a rock song. That was a prominent guitar song. I like lots of hip-hop. I like electronic. I like lots of post-rock stuff. But that's interesting in and of itself, and I think it could signal a shift into something kind of different, right? My favorite song on the album is actually the first song, which is Brutal. It's the heaviest song. It has a riff that has been said she ripped off from Elvis Costello. She does it a lot heavier than he does. It has a lot of gated vocals on it. And I think it's the only song on the album that's not a breakup song. So I think it was really smart putting it first because it kind of flavors the rest of the stuff. So even though all the other songs are sad, they're angsty, they're heartbroken, you have the opening of Brutal to kind of set that tone and say, hey, there is something deeper here. My heartbreak isn't only with, my ex-boyfriend or the one who got away, etc. There's, she asked pointedly, where's her fucking teenage dream? And this speaks to, like, the lost future that I think she's capturing in some of these songs. And this, like, weird play with nostalgia throughout it, through the evoking of other popular music sounds, but questioning them. Like in Deja Vu as well, has this very psychedelic feel to it. And, the music video especially is this pastiche of various ages. She has this very 1950s or 1960s look to her, but then there's like 80s TVs everywhere playing the same things, and she's like talking about the way relationships, her ex's new girl, how their relationship is mirroring his with her. But then, with the video and the visuals, you kind of get this whole idea is like, well, that's what we're doing with pop culture. That's what we're doing, we're all living in this deja vu. We reproduce the relationships that we are being shown. And she seems consciously aware of this. Also, in the opening track, Brutal, she's, muses about just quitting her job and wouldn't that be nice. And of course, she was an actor before this, so that's what she's talking about, not necessarily music. And she said, but they would all be so disappointed because what am I if not exploited? Already from the beginning, recognizing her thrownness into the world as a commodity, and trying to deal with that. Very, very good stuff. I look forward to seeing what she does in the future. I really hope she continues down that path and, breaks out a little bit from the such standard pop songwriting, which is good. Very good standard pop songwriting. But I would like to see more. I think she has it in her. And the other thing is I heard someone say that she wasn't a good a songwriter. She was a good actress. And you know what? That's part of it, though. It's very theatrical. She makes you believe those emotions in a way that maybe someone who was only trained to sing couldn't do. And that's important. That's what we need now. It's a multimedia world, baby. And speaking of theatricality, we go into Inside by Bo Burnham. This would probably be higher if I could include the movie into it. Like a whole lot of people on the internet, I fucking loved Inside. I loved so much about it. I wanted to originally do a written out essay reflection on Inside. I thought about doing its own media review, and I thought about doing a video essay, trying to tie in some more theoretical points to it. But I ended up not doing it because it was already so much stuff out there about it. And part of the message of it is this like feedback loop of reaction and content and everything. And it's Bo Burnham, comedian at his finest. I always thought his other stuff was okay. Make Happy was the only thing I really liked by him before. And even then, I didn't think it was perfect. I actually think Inside makes his other stuff better. So Inside as the movie, one of the best things I've seen in such a long time. Complete and total artwork. Meta commentary upon meta commentary. In and out. Multiple layers. You can read it so many ways. And yet it doesn't feel wishy-washy. It doesn't feel purposefully obtuse. It obviously has points and messages, yet the nuance can be interpreted in multiple different ways. And I don't think it's like they cancel each other out either. It's they build upon each other, which is, what his comedy has always done, what good comedy always does. But brought to the film setting where it's not a stand-up, it's a put-together film, edited, really strong. I like the production on the songs as well. Has a very Weird Al. He has a joke in the beginning where he's trying to figure out. I'm talking more about the movie here. I'm sorry. I like the songs too, but in the movie, he has a joke that he's on the whiteboard, figuring out his comedy, and he says Weird Al and Malcolm X, and then the Venn diagram, and he's in the middle. Says me. That is somewhat what it is like. It definitely has some Weird Al vibes. But the Weird Al vibes work because his goofiness is kind of offset with the actual seriousness. Tells lots of jokes, but there's so much hard-hitting content in there as well. Even in the jokier songs, they have this moment of, heart-wrenching insight. White Woman's Instagram going from being about, making fun of the aesthetics of this basic Instagram, this vapid personality, and then kind of delving into this idea of why people might do this, why someone would want to put up the facade of this perfect, curated, cultivated life image for others to consume, was dealing with this loneliness that is inside them of their mother and father being dead. There's a couple lines throughout the song throughout the album, which is actually also present in a lot of Burnham's other work about father relationships. So in White Woman's Instagram, the line is about, I can't believe it's been a decade since you've been gone, talking to the mom and all this stuff. And then at the end of this long, beautiful thing, it says, something about send a hug and kiss to dad. So obviously dad's dead too, but dad is not the one being addressed. And similarly, in FaceTime with my mom, he says, the phone gets handed to dad, and he says, how you doing? I say, not bad. And that's the deepest conversation we ever had. So clearly there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But then there's straight up Marxist bangers like How the World Works, where Sacco, the puppet, speaks some truth to Bo Burnham, and then they have a funny back and forth. Because that's the thing, is he never lets anything sit too long or too comfortably. There's always a push and pull in it. Sako says all this stuff, but then when Burnham tries to contribute to it, they start arguing, and then they, and it's not good on Sako's part or Burnham's part. Obviously, Burnham's more in the wrong. The sketch of the character that Burnham is playing. But, there's this back and forth where they each fuck up in their conversation. But then the character that Burnham's playing as the host exercises power and destroys Sako. But then you also have things like All Eyes on Me, which I've talked about in podcasts with like Locust Review before. Just a devastating song. Or my favorite is probably That Funny Feeling, which is probably the most serious song on the album. And Phoebe Bridgers covered it recently. That's a beautiful rendition as well. I really like Phoebe's work. I wish she would have released something this year. So hopefully next year. Or an album. She did release a couple songs. But I actually like Burnham's stripped down version from the album more than Phoebe's version that does it up at the end with all the horns and stuff. Just this complete dissociation. It's hard to talk about, honestly, because it's something I related to this album a lot. I related to that song a lot. It's actually, I think we're noticing a through line here. My favorite music has all been really fucking intense this year, and all of it dealing with some heavy stuff, even if it's trying to mask it in comedy or bravado or horror, like we'll see later. But yeah, and this funny feeling, goes through he's describing derealization, dissociation, but through the act of experiencing the world and the way that all this stuff, how we can scroll the internet and, things from mass tragedies to utter banality are just linked together in this flat surface, and you kind of look at it, and then when you're out in the world itself can become flat, and you just feel removed, and you wonder, what the fuck is going on? What is this for? And it's exhausting, and it's really sometimes hard to come back from that and to gain a perspective. On gaining perspectives, my second favorite album was Showtunes by Lambchop. This album seems to have gotten a lot of shit. People did not like it from what I saw. I've tried to show friends this album. They get they get like 2 songs in, and they're like, okay. It's very slow. Very soft. It's beautiful though, man. Now, alright, so I'll say this. Lambchop, if you're unfamiliar, started as like an alt country band, I think in maybe the late 80s or early 90s. Great stuff. I like a lot of their stuff. I tend to like their softer stuff, though, as composed to their noisier, like, alt country stuff, which I do find good. I just prefer the softer stuff. They use a lot of horns, a lot of finger-picked guitar, but finger-picked electric guitar with, like, heavy reverb and stuff. Just, like, very ambient, full music going on. Even if there's like 2 instruments, it feels like you're in this giant room being hugged by all the notes. And Showtunes continues that expertly, which is maybe one of the reasons why people don't like it so much. There are so many moments which almost feel empty yet completely submersive at the same time. Long passages with 1 or 2 notes, like, just going back, and lots of reverb, lots of fade in and out. It's also a continuation for them where it is Still an Americana album, I would say, but really an interesting move because he is using auto-tune and sampling. And some of the auto-tune stuff is just fucking beautiful. He has a deep voice going, like singing one line, and then he'll have a melody in the background of him that's, kind of higher with the auto-tune going in and out. And it works really, really well. It doesn't sound artificial. It doesn't sound unnecessary. That's what I like about it. Is it all seems so purposeful. These experiments, the little 2 seconds of vocal clip that are sampled throughout some songs that end up building the rhythmic backbone that seems so out of place for an album like this, yet in my opinion really meld in there. It's an album I would definitely recommend listening to on really nice stereo or headphones, get the full feel. It is not something meant for casual, playing on your phone or laptop speaker. It won't be good like that. Now, to be fair though, I did first listen to this album. I've liked Lambchop for a while. In August, I had to put my dog down, Buddy, who I'm sure many of you have seen before. He's a good boy. It was his time to go though, and the day that he passed, we had someone come to the house. We didn't want to go to the sterile vet, I mean, he has a good vet and everything, but the vet office is not the place to pass. Certainly not the place I could have been. And it was a lovely experience for all that it could be, the woman that did it was very nice, very kind, caring. Obviously, Buddy had no pain. He died very peacefully in our living room. But then she left. And it was my wife and I, and Frida, and Julian, and Teddy, our other birds, in the living room, and Buddy on the floor. Lifeless. And I had basically, I couldn't stand the silence. Even they were being quiet. I could tell, as powerful stuff, honestly. They all watched him pass, and they spent their whole time with us, with him, and they all stood there at the edge of their cage and watched him, and were silent, and it felt like they were grieving as well. I couldn't stand the silence though, so I was like, I gotta put on some music. Oh, Lambchop put out a new album. Let me play that. They're usually nice and soft and chill. Put on Showtunes. Listen to it 3 or 4 times in a row as I laid on the floor next to my just passed dog and cried my eyes out. And I still think of it. Well, actually, I still think of it all the time. But the album still brings me there. But it brings me to a strange piece. In the first song of the album, A Chef's Kiss, he says the line, "Life will be the death of us all." And yeah, as soon as I heard that sung that day, it sunk deep into my heart. And in that through line, and go to number 1, I got myself down a little bit. It's okay, number 1's a downer as well. Like I said, a lot of this music is intense that I've really enjoyed. It always is, really, but sometimes I listen to more like metal and hip-hop that can be intense, but is, I don't know, more, not so inwardly focused and sad, which a lot of this music last year has been sad for me. but in a cathartic way. I like sad stuff, especially when I feel sad. And that, the direct segue there really is the new Lingua Ignota album, Sinner Get Ready. First thing I heard from it, which was pretty soon after Buddy had passed, was she put out the single for Pennsylvania Furnace, and so it's folktale reimagined, but in the song, she repeats a couple times, "Me and the dog die together," and it felt like that. It felt like a part of me died with Buddy. But let's get back onto the album as a whole. Let me have a drink. So that's a slight foreshadow, a little bit of a joke. Sinner Get Ready by Lingua Ignota. Holy shit. Such intensity, such beauty. I want a movie adaptation of this film. I want a film adaptation of this album. It's Lingua Ignota, one-person project. Kristen Hayter. She did broke through a couple years ago with Caligula, mixing. It wasn't her first album, but it was like the one that like people, myself included, were like, "Holy shit!" Now I have a full like just reaction to Sinner Get Ready for the Patreons. If you want to check that out, you can find it in somewhere in there. It's like after listening to it a couple times and just giving my initial response, but now that I've lived with it for 6 months or so and listened to it often, say a little bit more about it. So she broke out with Caligula, which was a mix of industrial noise, black metal, opera, classical, survivor anthems is what she calls it. Very intense music, lots of screaming, but then operatic vocals, slow, dirgy piano with like walls of static and noise. Beautiful stuff. Really a good album. But with so much critical acclaim for that, for the people that would listen to that kind of stuff, she releases Sinner Get Ready, which switches the metal in for this like really authentic Appalachian music, borrowing like dulcimers and all, like so many instruments that honestly I couldn't even name them. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's one or two instruments being played because like a lot of these instruments have drone and sympathetic strings and stuff like that. So you hear a lot of stuff going on. You hear lots and lots of vocals. She's layering her vocals, singing differently. It's not just like the same voice over and over. She's using these methods to try to mimic like church choirs and Sacred Heart music, which is like an old way of worship music, of all these voices singing together without accompaniment, although she's using accompaniment, of course. But, you know, mixing all that together and borrowing like Amish and Mennonite and Great Revival type like spiritualism all together. Now she's since come and said that this album was kind of like a person trying to find God but not finding him. And I see that, but it's also, to me, there's a lot more layers there than just simply not finding God. Because the God that's in this, and I say this in my other one, my last reflection, is an angry fucking God. And there's moments where she's in awe of this angry God. There's moments where she's scared. There's moments where she's in love with him. There's moments where she feels unworthy of him. So it's really a strong mix of emotions there. And then now can't, and this gets even more sad in my opinion. Not too long ago, I think less than a month ago, she released a pretty graphic statement you can read on her, if you go to her Twitter, if you even just search it, it'll probably come up, Lingua Ignota statement, about her ex-boyfriend, the guy from the band Daughters, and the emotional, physical, psychological abuse that she went through with him, and then reading that statement and then listening to Sinner Get Ready afterwards, fucking, it's a punch. It's a punch in the goddamn gut. It's really, really fucked up. I would recommend listening to the album first. Then if you feel so implored, if you are okay reading about that kind of stuff, because it is graphic, definitely would come with a trigger warning for, domestic abuse, assault, psychological abuse, all that kind of stuff. It's sick. It's really fucking sick. And you can see it reflected in the album Sinner Get Ready. And then it brings whole new levels to this songwriting, because obviously the songs work for these religious metaphors, but then there's all sorts of stuff going on that you can see was obviously directly personally reflected by Kristen's life at the time. And part of me wants to go into all these things, but I also don't, because it feels kind of exploitive and gross. Obviously our art's exploring this, but if you're interested in that, just go read it and listen to the album. But really, yeah, the album itself, soft-ish. Soft compared to the metal of Caligula, but not soft on many other fronts. The choirs of her voice come together like reed instruments and buzzsaws and, angry gods, the wrath of an Old Testament being, the song the second song of the album, when she prays for God to kill her, well, she just says him, but obviously it's her lover or whatever. But you could, I guess, even that song you can take in a couple different ways. Just wonderful stuff. Or the towards the end of the album, this heart of man is a spring orchid, the heart of man is a crushed horse's tail, the heart of man is the seventh gate of hell. Like, beautiful, but they're sung with so much vibrato, so much pain. It's a painful album, and it sounds like a horror. It sounds like an Appalachian religious horror film. Like A24, I don't know what they're doing. They need to be making a fucking film based on this album. I hope they wouldn't mess it up, though. Maybe they would. Those are my 5 favorite albums. Kind of a little bit of a rambly video, but that's maybe why you're here. Something lighthearted that moves into me devastated. I would have put John Vanderslice's new album on here if he had fucking released it. I listened to his thing on IG Live where he played the album that he recorded, and then he didn't release it. He released 2 EPs this year, but neither of them were that album. And I heard it, and it was beautiful, and I want to experience it in full sound. So 2022, that better be coming out. I think we're getting a new Y album. Yoni's doing an interesting project with allowing people to watch him write the songs or whatever. I didn't sign up for it, though. I would like to, but I didn't. Yeah, so we'll see. I think 2022 is going to be an interesting year. I'm sure most of you have read and know Mike stepped back from the channel. We didn't fall out or anything. I'm sure he'll be on. He's going to be doing some stuff for his Theory Wave Nights channel, but, he's a new father. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's working on, 3 books right now. And, yeah, I just needed to step back. So I'm taking over. This is now just me, baby. And I'll be keeping a lot of the same stuff, but I will be expanding and changing things around. I'll be experimenting a lot. I'll do a video updating that and kind of explaining my ideas and where I want to go. But if you have any ideas for me, if you're like, I really wish he would do this, then yeah, let me know, because I would love to work on little one-off projects. I would love to work on series, kind of like mini-series. I'm gonna not follow the algorithm's advice and just post lots of different types of content on here. I'm still going to be posting experimental music, still going to be posting interview podcasts. I'm still going to be doing video essays, still going to be doing media reviews, mixing it all together, and hopefully some other short form experimental stuff, but we'll see. And I look forward to 2022. We'll probably change all the patron tiers in February. Again, just we've had them for a while now. Mike's gone, and I'll just want to switch that up and see. Some of that stuff was designed more for us to do together to be able to put out. And yeah, if you have ideas for that too, let me know again. Some of it I might incorporate, or I might just put it out there. If it's like, oh no, that would be a good idea, won't even put it behind the wall. I would like to be able to put more stuff up. I'll probably start putting up the media reviews a month later for public, and then keeping some kind of unredacted as patron only. Maybe we'll do chats or something, and do a monthly phone talk where we can kind of all join in and just go, have a conversation with each other. It's less structured, less me talking to you, more us talking together, exploring different cultural trends, etc. Well, I hope 2022 treats you right. Happy New Year. Frida, tell them.